While the fundamental value pattern and accurate drawing are vital to a successful painting, color is the element that determines the mood and harmonizes the entire concept. I am a naturalist in my approach to landscape painting. I paint color as I see it on the day. As a result of this, the mood of the day has a strong influence on the mood of the painting. I like to let nature be my guide for color choices, especially when I'm painting plein air, but it also applies to work I complete in the studio. In order to understand color, as a landscape artist, we must first understand sunlight. When sunlight strikes an opaque object, some light waves are absorbed into the surface of the object, and some are reflected back as colored light. Black objects absorb all the wavelengths, and the absence of light appears black to our eyes. White objects reflect all the wavelengths equally, giving the appearance of pure white light. The brick wall absorbs all the colors of the spectrum except for orange, which it reflects back into our eyes. The extent to which the object is illuminated depends on the angle of the light striking the surface. These varying degrees of brightness reveal the form of that object to our eyes. The color of the light that illuminates the object is the same as the light source. And so for landscape artists, we see warm, yellow light from the sun bouncing off the elements in our paintings. Sunlight reflections on a smooth, opaque surface make the object look glossy and create the reflections we see on translucent water. As the surface becomes more uneven, the sunlight is scattered in lots of different directions. This makes the surface look matte, but still brightly lit, such as grass, bushes, trees, and rocks. If sunlight was the only light source, then all shadows would be black, because they do not receive any direct light from the sun. But of course, since the Earth's atmosphere reflects sunlight back down to the ground, we also have the ambient light of the sky. Skylight adds to the general brightness of objects in direct sunlight, but the intense yellow light of the sun easily overpowers the ambient blue skylight. Instead, its effects are much more noticeable in the shadows. That is why we frequently hear the adage, warm light means cool shadows, because in nature we frequently see warm sunlight planes and blue-violet shadows. Aside from the influence of skylight on the color of shadows, we can see colorful light reflected from surrounding sunlit elements. These reflections will create muted, warm light effects in the shadow plane. They provide the artist with a great tool to create visual harmony amongst the various elements in the painting. It's important to remember, however, that reflected light is a very subtle concept. Despite being called light, it is actually found in the shadow plane of objects. As such, the artist must be careful to maintain the integrity of their value planes and keep the reflected light in the same value range as the shadow. way these natural light effects interact with the local color of elements in the landscape is influenced by the quality and intensity of the light source. When the sun is high in the sky, the sunlight shines directly down on the horizontal planes of objects, and these surfaces may be intensely illuminated. As the sun moves closer to the horizon, the light waves have to travel through more atmosphere and more pollution, and this creates a warmer light. The colors we see will vary according to weather conditions. On a sunny day with clear blue skies, the direct sunlight will be warm. The skylight will be a vibrant blue-violet, and surrounding objects will bounce colorful light into the shadows. On an overcast day, the light source is much more muted and will result in a more subdued effect on the elements in the landscape. When we look at objects in the distance, the light has farther to travel through the atmosphere. Objects appear cooler, lighter, and less saturated, such as the blue haze of distant mountains. I like to think of the ground as a rainbow, with the colors as bands starting in the foreground and moving off into the distance. As an object moves back through space, the color of the band appears to drop out of the local color of the object. In the foreground, the grass is in the red, orange, yellow part of the rainbow. Therefore, the presence of these colors in its local color will be dominant to the greens and blues. In the midground, the grass is in the green part of the rainbow. The local color will be more evenly balanced between the blue and yellow. In the distance, the grass is in the blue-violet part of the rainbow, and the blues will start to dominate the local color. I see a rainbow effect evident in the gradation of the sky from directly above our heads, traveling all the way down to the horizon through the colors of the rainbow. To see this effect for yourself, just try coloring an envelope with the colors of the rainbow and hold it up to the sky. Now, the artist has fully assessed the scene they want to paint and has gained an understanding not just of the local color of the elements in their painting, but how these colors are influenced by external factors. Next, it is time to consider the tools that will allow the artist to render the object into the painting surface. In other words, pigment.